The tank is a terrible, terrible class. Here's why. Firstly, every other class has a very clear identity and role. Berserker is mad running gun with emphasis on close to mid-range, intended to pursue rapid kills with the utmost aggression. Vanguard is fantastic at everything, intended for frontline pressure to push their team forward. Wraith serves as a sniper, obviously, with the ability to fend off enemies in close range, intended to provide overwatch from long ranges. Shadow is the ultimate flanker, intended to strike enemies from odd angles and secure quick kills. Grenadier has a sort of double identity as both area denial and burst, and a short to mid-range gun brawler, and Marksman is an all-around surgical class that will suffer if he's not after headshots. So, what the hell does Tank do? Sure, he has 300 health, he regenerates 3 to 4 health every second, and he can't be backstabbed. But look at what he can't do. He can't flank because it takes too long for him to maneuver into position because he's so painfully slow. His most effective option is head on toward the enemy, whichever part of the map he's trying to control because of that. He can't peek well because his massive, bulky model means that the enemy will always see Tank before Tank sees the enemy, assuming they're both looking in each other's direction. That also means he's not good with corners because enemies have slightly more time to react than he does. He's brutalized by all weapons and classes simply because he's so easy to hit. Backstab immunity is supposed to make Tank a counter to Shadow, but 2 hits from a 150 damage Shinobi plus change to account for Tank's tiny regeneration will still kill him. Not that Shadow needs to, being in close range and spraying any gun at Tank will result in dead Tank unless the Tank is extremely skilled or already knows where the Shadow is before the fight starts. Tank is a sitting duck for Wraiths and Marksmen because his head moves so slowly and so even that is easier to hit. Doesn't seem like he can do much, does it? But hold on, I'm not done. Before you get up in arms and point out the obvious to me, let's review all of his perks. Last Stand is an obnoxious and pessimistic opportunity to get an extra kill before you really bite the dust. It's pessimistic because you assume you're going to die and die often. If you weren't going to die all the time, then Last Stand would be a dumb perk to take because you wouldn't be getting nearly so much benefit out of it as you could. The more you suck, the better Last Stand is, and even then, you have to be able to aim the Blackhawk pistol it gives you to secure a kill with your dying breath. Raging Bull, which grants 30% damage reduction while sprinting, is just crippling yourself. What are you going to do with the fact that you're taking 30% less damage? Run away and get health packs? At best, it could be used as part of a cheese tactic for baiting people in the close quarters by taking hits and sprinting around a corner. It's not as if you can fire with it active, so what are you doing? Those are the 2 shitty perks. Then there's Effectiveness. With 25% accuracy and reload speed, it's obvious that this perk is designed for heavy LMG and assault rifle users who could benefit most from recoil reduction and faster reload. However, once we've covered the other perks, it's going to be clear that this perk is redundant and arguably useless. Well Prepared, which grants immunity to headshot bonus damage and 20% resistance to explosive damage, is as useful as the enemy team is skilled. The damage reduction on grenades just isn't all that great, and headshot immunity is pointless if the other team can't headshot you. There's a judgment call to be made here. If you're dealing with highly skilled players or precise Wraiths or Marksmen, Well Prepared can become a massive boon to your survival that matters even more than your high base health. Provoke increases your damage by 25% for 2 seconds when you take in gun or grenade damage, which means that as long as you're being shot, you're hurting all the more. I heavily recommend figuring out what guns you like and creating 2 identical loadouts with those guns, the only difference being that on one loadout you take Well Prepared, and on the other you take Provoke instead. Lastly, and this is the holy grail of tank perks, Blitzkrieg. It's a complex 2-part perk that accomplishes a lot in somewhat confusing regard, so I'm going to read verbatim from the game to describe it to you. While shooting, Tank gains 10% damage resistance and 10% mobility per second. This caps at 3 seconds, totaling at 30% for each attribute. When Tank kills an enemy, he instantly fills 50% of his weapon clip. You might say, that's neat, but Vanguard's Barrage perk refills his gun entirely when he gets a kill. Sure, but let's compare numbers. Vanguard's Blackguard has a 35-shot clip and his Widower has 50 shots. Those are his highest magazine capacities, and they're pathetic in comparison to Tank's mighty arsenal. 4 of Tank's 5 light machine guns have between 75 and 85 shots in a magazine. There is absolutely no doubt that with decent aim, You will kill someone in 20 to 30 bullets, but those aren't the only guns that supremely benefit. Tank's 3 shotguns, the Mongoose, Rampart, and Mammoth, all have tiny clip sizes of 5 and 6 shots, but they also have extremely strong damage and low fire rates. You don't get into a fight with tank shotguns planning to empty a magazine on one person, which means nailing somebody at close range in 1 or 2 shots still gives you a net profit in currently loaded ammunition. And that's just the ammo restoration on kill. The damage reduction and mobility boosts mean that if you become wise about pre-firing, you can enter a fight with 300 base health, but you'll effectively be starting it with 390 health and moving 30% faster to boot. For anyone who doesn't kill you immediately, the fight is tipping more in your favor with each passing second. Of course, there's still a ton that Tank isn't good at. None of his weapons are bad, on the contrary. All of his LMGs, all his rifles and shotguns, even his sniper like Hornet will melt people if you nail headshots, and his pistol is an excellent holdout in the event that you somehow run out of ammo, or just want to take a gun that will get you where you want to go more quickly than his other weapons. 105% mobility is a lot more than his other guns. Except for the Mammoth, which shares that. He's still slow, an easy target, and his base health on its own just doesn't mean much. Our main question, what does Tank do, remains unanswered. Or at least it did, until I figured it out. You ready for this? Tank is a tactical daredevil, a gambit. A bet that you can position yourself correctly and seize control of the map by firing 200 bullets out of your LMG without reloading. Or that you can dominate the center of Hakim Library or Wonderdome by one-shotting every sorry bastard that dares wander near your shotguns. Now, it's worth considering that because of Tank's specialist and risky nature, he is not at all for new players, nor the poor in aim. Tank in his current state is a challenge, meant for the skilled and the brave to really test their tactics and precision. If you're up to it, then I recommend the following build. Bring a light machine gun. I recommend either the Bruiser or the Prybar. You don't need the Brute because your short range power is going to be covered because you're bringing the strongest gun in the game, the Rampart shotgun, as your second weapon. With 348 damage per round, the Rampart will annihilate anyone in the game in a single shot, provided your positioning and twitch aim are good enough. For your perks, like I said before, you should build 2 loadouts like this. One loadout with Blitzkrieg and Provoke, and the other with Blitzkrieg and Well Prepared, so that you can adjust according to the skill level and composition of the enemy team. Then, you can start having fun, like this. Tank is an excellent demonstration of why it's not only impossible to truly balance a class-based shooter like Ballistic Overkill, but also why that's okay. Not all characters need to be of the same strength or similar design. Sometimes, just giving yourself a badass test of skill is an absolute blast.